Assalamu alaikum, sister. Thank you for adding to our live session. As I understand your situation, you're going to be married soon. Congratulations. I am sure you're very excited about your upcoming marriage and all the joys and the happiness, inshallah, that it will bring. However, you did state that you've been exposed to chronic childhood trauma, and that's better known as ACEs, adverse childhood events. While you didn't state exactly what the trauma was or how deep it is, you are currently, I'm assuming, getting treatment for that because you stated you're having difficulty relocating away from your support system. So first of all, sister, I would kindly suggest, inshallah, that if you are seeing a counselor right now for trauma, that you do sit down and speak with your counselor for some tips and advice regarding what she would recommend, being that she knows your case, she knows what the trauma is, she knows how you progressed in treatment, and what good outcomes there may be for you. So your current therapist or counselor would be the number one resource to ask. And secondly, for your other support systems, that can include family, friends, possibly support groups that you're going to, all which seem to be a very good help for you in healing from the trauma. Now, with that said, prior to moving, I would kindly suggest that in addition to what your counselor or therapist offers and tips and suggestions, that you also, look in the area to where you're moving, find a new therapist that you're compatible with and you feel it would be very good and conducive for your continued healing, as well as look at some of the support groups that are offered in the area for trauma survivors. And this can also be accomplished through a referral from your current counselor, or it can be done by looking on the internet for like clinics or mental health facilities that offer support groups for women who are suffering from childhood trauma. And with that said, you'll also want to maybe write down your skill sets, right? The things you've been learning of how to cope with different feelings and thoughts and possibly behaviors surrounding the trauma. And you might want to write them down, right? Like make a list of all your tools, your skills, as well as the things that you've learned of how to deal with it when things become difficult for you, right? So that might be, breathing techniques, thinking about, what your thoughts are and rearranging your thoughts in a more constructive way, so that you're having positive thoughts rather than negative thoughts. Other tips and tricks such as, going to the gym, working out, keeping busy with things that you enjoy, right? If you're on medication, you may want to, start finding out what pharmacies are around there, which ones take your insurance, and so forth. The key thing is not to break the continuity of the services you're receiving. So say you're seeing a counselor and you're going to a support group and you're utilizing walks in nature, going to the gym, eating healthy, doing meditation or mindfulness exercises, as well as cognitive restructuring, right? You don't want to stop doing those. You want to continue with all the things that you've been doing at home, right? So your position right now would to be to explore the new area where you'll be living and get connected before you move there. And if possible, sister, I would kindly suggest that you go to the area where you're going to be living and just visit it, right? So you don't want to get married and just go there and feel like it's a very strange place and feel overwhelmed, right? So I would kindly suggest making a few trips there, visiting, maybe connecting with a new therapist there or get a referral from your current one, connecting with some women at the masjid who can be supportive, as well as very welcoming and also be there as, a friend, a sister. So just start to get to know the area, get the feel for it, so that when you do make the final move, it won't be such a dramatic change for you. You would have already been there. It'll start to feel familiar, and it won't be as overwhelming, for lack of a better term. So your question is not an overreaction, okay? It's actually it's a very intelligent question, and it's a very valid concern, right? When you're in the middle of treatment and you have a lot of support systems, you don't want to just suddenly up and leave them. So that's why, I'm kindly suggesting, inshallah, that you go visit, your new home where you're going to be with your husband, and get the services set up that you're already receiving there, become familiar with the place, and make some linkages with some positive support systems that are in that area. And maybe attend a few times if you can. That way you'll already be starting on a new path with the same mechanisms in place that have been successful so far in treating your trauma. Another aspect of this is, does your husband to be know about your trauma? Is he aware that you are currently getting treated for trauma and that you will need supports? Because that's really important, right? That he knows, what's going on, and that you will need supports when you get there. And as a husband, he should be very loving and supportive of you concerning this, and he should be helpful, and he should want to ensure that your transition is smooth. And a lot of times it might be hard, talking to somebody about, a mental health illness that we have that, we may not want to talk about, but these are the things that bond a husband and a wife. They could make you closer, and he'll know what to prepare for and how to help you acclimate to a new environment, and it just might strengthen your relationship instead of hiding it. So a lot of times people feel there's a stigma attached to mental health, and sometimes there is. However, people are forgetting that nobody escapes mental health illness, right? At some point in all of our lives, we'll have periods where we have depression or anxiety, or we've been through some trauma, and we need to deal with it. So there's millions of people, unfortunately, with trauma and other conditions such as, depression and panic disorder. But try to look at it when you disclose things, just try to look at it like, if it was high blood pressure, if it was diabetes, whatever. I mean, the mind, body, and spirit, they function in one. So would you be embarrassed if you had to, get things set up to manage a diabetic condition? Or say you needed to get things in place if you needed special services for another medical condition? I don't think so. So when we think of our mental health, it is tied in with our body and our minds and our spirits. So by caring for ourselves as a whole, right? It's a holistic approach. By caring for our systems as a whole and ensuring that each part functions as it should, and that we, take care, then that kind of reduces, any stigma that you may or may not be feeling. And if you're not feeling that, wonderful. That's beautiful. You're way ahead of the game. But if you are, please, just know that everybody experiences it from one time to another in their life, and it's nothing to, feel bad about. So with that said, please do, talk to your counselor, see if she has any recommendations for that area. Try to take a few trips there, spend some time there. Link up with some support groups if that's what you are used to. Find a new therapist. Look for the similar supports there that you have where you are now, as well as reaching out in the masjid and connecting with sisters there that can be supportive. And there might even be like a social group or a class that you can enroll in at the new masjid or Islamic center where you're going. Lastly, please keep in touch, with your family, if that's, part of your support system. And I'm sure they will reassure you that they will be there for you and they're a phone call away. And actually, you said it's another state, so it's really, it's not like it's 20 hours away. It's a couple hours away. So if you do need to go back for some extra, support, it will be available to you, inshallah. So with that said, again, congratulations on your marriage, and with everything pre-set up, I'm sure that you're going to be fine. Of course, you're probably nervous, about the transition, how it's going to go. But make dua to Allah. Pray that He, guide you and grants mercy. And of course, I'm sure, inshallah, He's going to bless you, sister, on your path. But, just do the things that you need to do prior to leaving. And inshallah, you'll get used to it and it will all work out. We wish you the best.